Jordan, obviously the
Yeah.
surgeries this morning.
Yeah.
Can you kind of give any insight to what he's going to be going
Yeah.
through?
So he is out of surgery, and the surgery went well. So the repair, I'm not going to go into weeds, but it was a good repair. Dr. Belfi was happy with the outcome, and now he's just got to make sure that he's in a sling for an extended period of time. Then there'll be a little bit of where he can start to move, and it's going to be non-contact for quite some time. I believe they said around 6 weeks. I'll obviously update you as time gets a little closer. But it's a pretty significant injury because the healing process has to take, because soccer players shoulder to shoulder, we don't want him to take another tumble. So we're going to have to be cautious when he does get back out on the grass. But overall, it's a positive outcome as far as the surgery is concerned.
And 6 weeks before he can do contact, or
No, 6 weeks before he can just be out on the grass and kind of
Period.
run
Okay.
around. I
Okay.
mean, he's got to be in a sling.
Okay. And then JP, is there any update on that?
Yes, thank you for that question, Jada. There's some good news, some positive news. I mean, injuries are always bummers, but this was actually a bit of good news. So JP had the surgery, same surgery that did the Dr. Mandelbaum down in LA, and when they went in there, his ACL was intact.
Ooh.
And so they did a cleanup of the knee. There was some meniscus damage, there was some other things, but they basically did a cleanup, and so we will have JP back this season.
Wow.
Is there timetables?
That we're going to wait till he's back up here, but I can probably tell you that it's 6 to 8 weeks, maybe from the date of injury. Had it just been a meniscus, which it was at the end, same timeline. That timeline didn't change. It was just a cleanup, and I'm just so happy, and JP's obviously very happy, and his teammates are happy. We let them know the news, and so that's good.
Go ahead.
Oh, well, I was just going to actually, with one thing with Jordan, though, how is he handling this situation?
Well, I haven't spoken to him after surgery. Prior to, he was a little down, but he's a tough kid. I mean, he's been through some pretty significant injuries. I think he's just super motivated since look, it was hard work to overtake Raul, because Raul was a tremendous forward for us. And you get that sense that Jordan, finally, got the place to play where he wanted to. And he wanted to show people that he could perform. And so for him, it's just a bummer that these injuries have occurred. But I know Jordan well enough that he's strong mentally, and he's going to be all right once he gets back.
Same question with JP. Once he gets that news, when he gets out of surgery.
Well, he was extremely happy. I mean, Matt and those guys, they've all talked to him directly. I have not spoken to him directly, but he's obviously in much better spirits, Jackson.
When it comes to JPS, despite the good news, and you kind of have really put a lot of miles on your pivots, specifically Christian seems to be the one that might be harder to replace because of everything he does.
Yeah.
What have you thought about a specific player that might be able to do the roles that Christian provides for you in this system?
Well, JP, when he comes back, talked about Albert, talked about, Alex, talked about Danny, we talked about multiple things. There's not really one person that's exactly like Christian, so that's always challenging. So depending on the game, depending on the situation, we'll have a bit of fixture congestion coming up with the Leagues Cup games, and I'll try and, take some miles off him there. How we do it will depend on the opponent, all that sort of stuff.
What do you need in that position, just staying? I know, like you said, it depends on the opponent, but is it more of a defensive? Is somebody that can break the lines on the passes?
It depends. I mean, look, Cruz Azul is a really good team. Yeah. And in that game, I would say we're going to need, some defending. But if you're on top of a team, you've got a lead, and you want to protect the lead with possession, there's other guys that can fit in there. The Leagues Cup might be the debut of a guy like Snyder. It might be a chance for, one of those guys to step up and see what they have. So pairs, players, getting some minutes off. I understand your question. Opportunities for some young guys. We'll see how it all comes together.
Going back to the San Jose game, when you watched the film, what specifically stood out about Pedro de la Vega, why he was able to have such a big day? Was it just being on the left side, or was it certain things that stood out?
Well, I know everybody's happy with his debuting on the left side. You know, the way San Jose plays with a 5-man back line and their best attacking option higher up the field attacking, I think that allowed Pedro a little bit more time and space. That was a direct tactic from us. Pedro was going to be the highest, widest guy because we wanted to pin Espinosa back. We wanted to make Espinosa defend. And in a couple of those moments where Pedro was kind of hanging out and he got those transition moments, you know, where was Espinosa in those moments? He was higher up the field. So tactics worked right for the game. But having said that, look, let's be honest. Pedro had a really fantastic game. He was doing the work in training the last couple of weeks. He wanted to prove, and now he did it. Now he's got to come back and have a good game against Atlanta, and then he put himself in the conversation.
He also looked really good with Reed, but you do have Nuhu back. Do you want to see the Reed-Pedro combo again against Atlanta, or what are you doing?
Well, we're still working on the final lineups. Obviously, Nuhu is available for selection. So we'll see how that plays out. A lot of conversation today after training about, you know, kind of what our thoughts are towards Atlanta.
Going into this season, he seems like, before, he seems like Pedro's always played on the left. What is it that you like about him on the right rather than what he played out in Lanús and what maybe seems like where he should be at?
Because in our system, the left winger stays high and wide and Pedro likes to come inside. And Nuhu was not a attack-minded left back. So what happens, to Jada's point there, was when Pedro gets the ball and he comes inside, you need an attacking left back. Well, you know, on the right side, he was able to come inside, play in the pocket, which he can do, and, you know, we'd get Alex or Kalani or someone a little higher up the field. So his time at Lanús, he played many games on the right, and, you know, it's just a matter of time to get Pedro in his best right position based on the entire team. It's not just one guy, it's a team sport. So he's done a great job of making it known that he wants to get more playing time.
Brian, how much is it in terms of, I know maybe they already know it, but the message of consistency? We've talked about several players that have really had 1 or 2 games, but how important is it for them to continue to do that?
Well, consistency is an interesting question in the vein of an individual performance. Yes, they have to do that to keep their place in the team. You just interviewed Jesus. I think he's been pretty consistent over the last bit of time, and he's been very good. Now, I would say consistency as far as the squad is concerned. I mean, we got 11 games left plus the Leagues Cup, so we're gonna have to find a consistent lineup because, you know, the games are exciting. You know, 3-2 and then 3-3 and then 3-2, you know, they were exciting games, but the back line, the consistency on the back line or lack thereof, and, you know, Andrew filling in for Steph, I mean, we need to get some consistency in the group, and that's why I'm making these choices with Pedro and some of the other guys that are playing well and coming back from injury. It's going to make my job a little harder.
Wanted to ask about Jose. You know,
He'll get some chances. He will absolutely move up, Jada, and I can tell you, he'd probably get some chances in the Leagues Cup for sure.
One thing that stood out of your press conference for me was that you alluded to having more freedom within the limitations and pockets that you like to discipline and have your players play under, because you kind of made the attack more fluid. That's what I perceived out of it. Does Pedro give you more of that, like freedom, creativity when it comes to that specific left role?
Well, Pedro does like to go around the field a little bit more, and we're going to allow that. But if he plays on the left, his starting position is going to be highest and widest up on the left. And then as the game progresses, there's some interchange. But the main interchange is mainly with Albert, Obed, and Jesus in those pocket areas. You know, that's where we can get a little bit of a rotation. It's not to say that Pedro can't go there either. And Reed or Nuhu filling up some of the gaps that he does. But there's just the way we structure the team, there's certain responsibilities that the group has, and Pedro's picking those up pretty well.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.